Hey y'all, how's
Good
it
morning.
going today? So, last night I woke up, I had to use the restroom, and I just had this overwhelming sense in my heart of like just having such empathy and just such passion for struggling marriages. And it's 2023 and everyone's all, yes, it's going to be a great year, and it is going to be a great year, right? We have to have that positive mental mindset. But for some people, it's tough right now.
Yeah.
Their marriage is going through a struggle. And while everybody else can be like, yes, this is the best, inside they might be dying a little bit because of their marriage. So I just was like, babe, like we have to make a video today of just like marriages that are struggling. Let's just give them some practical tips, some practical ways that they can just try to come together in just a quick video.
Yeah.
So that was on my heart this morning, and so we were just kind of brainstorming some quick ideas and suggestions, because our goal, that's why we started Imperfect Marriage a year and a half ago, was because we have a heart for marriage and a passion, and we want to be able to be here for people who are great times
Yeah.
and struggling times.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we, again, we don't claim to be experts, and we certainly don't claim to have a perfect marriage. But there are just some things some pieces of wisdom that have been passed on to us from the earliest stages of our relationship that have translated to having a somewhat healthy marriage, at least.
Yeah.
And so we just want to give 3 simple things. And I'm not usually a big fan of lists that are like, five easy ways
Follow
to fix
these
your whole life or whatever.
Right,
but we also
right.
don't want to give a million tips and
Yes.
overwhelm anybody. So if we can just kind of settle on 3 things, and it's not the only 3 things, but three quick
start
things
with.
that could provide a little help and a little hope for 2023. And we believe, because we've seen it in our own marriage, that if these things are kind of practiced regularly, that they can help your marriage. So
And
first
that's
one.
the key, regularly and consistently.
Yep.
Okay, good.
So the first one is to be kind and to forgive each other. Every marriage needs massive doses of kindness and massive doses of forgiveness, because we all are imperfect people who mess up on a regular basis.
All the
And
time.
if we are not willing to forgive each other and move past our mistakes, then we're going to dwell on all the hurt, and we're going to let it build up, and it's going to fester, and eventually it's going to explode. So,
And I like how you said being kind, because I feel like if you have kids or nieces and nephews, like you tell them to be kind to people. Be kind to one another. Make sure you're using your kind words. If you have nothing nice to say, right? Don't say it.
Yeah.
Being kind also means our manners.
Right.
Like, so often, like, I will hear adults and they're like, oh, open the door for me. Get this, get that. I'm thinking to myself, where are your manners? Like, I still try to use my manners with you all the time, because not only am I trying to be kind and loving to him, but I also want to try to model what it's like for our kids. Like, what was that saying? More is caught than taught,
yeah.
right? So it's like you're trying to teach these things, so not only to try to better your marriage, but also model a good example for the kids.
Yeah. And it's such a simple
It is super
concept.
simple,
I mean, we
right.
all learned it, like she said, when we were 3 years old. We all learned that we need to speak kindly to each other.
Yeah.
And as we grow older and we're in a marriage relationship, sometimes we think, oh, well, I've been with this person a long time. And the more comfortable we get around somebody, we tend to get a little bit lax,
Lazy.
in the way we speak to one another. But it all goes back to respect. We all
Right.
want to be respected,
Yes.
especially men. We want to feel like we're respected.
Right.
So simple things like, can you please do this? Or thank you so much for doing that.
Yes,
Those
right.
are just all small acts of kindness. One of the Bible verses that we kind of live by when it comes to this, and it's been something that has really helped our marriage, it's in Ephesians 4 verse 31 and 32. It says, get rid of all bitterness, rage, anger, and harsh words and slander, as well as all types of evil behavior. Now, I know for me personally, one of the areas that I struggle sometimes is in harsh speaking, especially if you're frustrated or there's already other things going on.
Right.
You can be a little bit critical. You can be a little bit harsh in the way you talk. I know that's, like I said, that's something I struggle with. But the Bible tells us to get rid of all that. And then it goes on to say, instead, be kind to each other, tenderhearted, forgiving one another just as God through Christ forgave you. So being kind and tender-hearted, I like that phrase, tender-hearted.
Yeah, me
like
too.
It kind of just it puts in my head a picture of just being a little bit softer with my words, a little bit softer in the way I speak, looking at my wife as somebody who needs to be nurtured and taken care of and cherished, as opposed to somebody that I just need to get the dishes done or get the kids to be quiet or whatever the task that needs to be done at the time.
Hand, right.
It goes from, it helps me see her as opposed to just somebody who is a means to an end of getting something accomplished to somebody that God has given me to take care of and nurture and build up. And that's, if I can look at her that way, as opposed to just a tool or a resource to get my agenda accomplished, then I think it goes a long way in helping me be kind to her. And then that second part, just forgiving. Like I said at the beginning, we're all going to make mistakes, lots of mistakes. And we have to extend grace. I mean, we all want to be forgiven when we mess up.
Right.
For those of us that are Christians and followers of Christ, like we are grateful for the fact that God forgives us, even though we don't deserve it. And so there might be times where your spouse doesn't, you don't feel like they deserve your forgiveness.
Right.
But forgiveness isn't earned. Forgiveness is something that's just given.
Right. It's a free gift.
Yeah. So be quick to forgive. Number 2, communicate. You have to communicate. You have to communicate regularly. You have to communicate honestly, and you have to communicate appropriately. Anything in marriage that's going to improve your marriage has to be done with consistency. And communication can't just happen once in a while, which is why sometimes you got to schedule it. And we talked a little bit in our last video about date nights. And that's the whole point of a date night, is to connect, to communicate. So it doesn't have to be anything fancy. You don't have to have a whole list written out of things you need to talk about. Some of our best and most meaningful times have just been sitting in bed before we're falling asleep, or in a car on a road trip where you just start talking and you communicate, and you get to see what's on the other person's heart and mind, and you communicate regularly. Honestly, you got to be able to communicate honestly.
And that goes back to where we were talking about before, like if you're not having such a great relationship with your spouse, and like or that tone even. So like if I'm trying to be honest, and I say something in a derogatory tone or like a harsh tone, and I can, people play it off. Well, I'm just being honest, and it's like, but think about how you're saying that. Would you want someone to talk to you like that when they're being honest? No, nobody wants that. If I have something that I need to say, we're gonna sit down, we're gonna find time to do that, and it's not gonna be in passing. If I need to talk to him about something and I need to be honest with him about something, we're gonna make time for that. And we're going to sit down, and I can even say, hey, babe, listen, I need to talk to you about something, blah, blah, blah.
The words every husband wants to hear.
Right. Are you pregnant? No, I'm not, But just like the way in which we're saying our honest communication, make sure that your intentions are good. Kind of do an inward check. And if you're just ragging on your spouse for something as honesty, don't do that. That goes back to being kind. Like, don't do that. As wives, like, we are supposed to, God has given us that ability to raise our husbands up and to encourage them. And like, that's not something I take lightly. Like, I want to be that encourager. I want to be the person who's saying good things about my spouse, because guess what? If I'm not, someone else will. And that's a whole other topic, but just being honest in the way in which you use your tone to be honest.
Yeah, and that goes to that third part of communicating. So we want to communicate consistently and regularly. We want to communicate honestly, but we also want to communicate appropriately.
Right.
And so time and place matters.
Absolutely.
And I know sometimes if you're like me, like I don't like there to be conflict between us, so I will. Like if we have a problem or we're having a fight or a disagreement, I want to fix it right then and there. But sometimes right then and there might not be the time or place to fix it. And the bigger the conversation needs to be, the more significant it is. Yes. Maybe it's not appropriate to have that conversation in front of the kids. Maybe it's not appropriate to have that conversation.
Like when you're going to sleep at night, maybe you're just like in the right frame of mind. You're just like, I'm so exhausted. Like, I really want to have this conversation, but I'm so tired, babe. Like, I literally am not in the right frame of mind.
Yeah. And you have to respect that as the other spouse, as much as you may want to have this, if we're going to have this argument, let's have it right now. Right. Sometimes you got to respect time and place.
Yes.
And then the way you say things, we're constantly saying that to our kids. It's not just what you say, it's how you say it. So take a look at yourself in the mirror when you're communicating it. Are your eyes bugging out of your head? Right. Are your hands flapping around?
Right.
Does your face communicate, hey, I want to heal and restore our marriage and get to the bottom of whatever this conflict is, or I want to just spew some venom at you and get my way and win this fight. There's a big difference. So we got to just keep in mind that communication should always have the goal of restoration and oneness,
Yes.
as opposed to divisiveness and just getting our way.
We're not this is not my enemy, right? We're on the same team.
Yeah.
So the way in which you do that, yeah.
And then the last thing, as we're rambling on a bit, but the last thing is to pray with and for your spouse. Starting with praying for your spouse, that's huge. And whether it's your spouse or any other person that you have a relationship with, if you can pray for somebody, it really kind of takes the edge off, and it's hard to be angry with somebody that you are consistently praying for. Prayer does change things, and I know it sounds cliche, and we hear that all the time, but it's true. All cliches are rooted in truth. That's why they became cliches in the first place. So praying for your spouse on a regular basis, bringing them before the only one who can actually change them.
Do something, yes.
Is important. And then praying with your spouse. This might be the single best piece of information or wisdom that we got early in our dating relationship was to just pray together. It creates such an intimacy and a oneness in your marriage. And the natural drift is going to be towards isolation. And separation. I mean, there's so many things in this world that demand our attention, and
all the time.
it's easy to just fall into a routine and let your marriage get on the back burner. But by communicating regularly and praying together, you fight back against that drift towards isolation, and you create a spirit of oneness in your marriage. And then just listening to what she has to pray for gives me insight into what's going on in her life.
Very transparent, right? Because I'm having my conversation with God. He's involved in it. And that's just something that's like you're looking into the most inner being, like, okay, what's really going on? Who specifically am I praying for? Who's on my heart? And he's like, oh, man, you know what? I should be praying for them too. Or I wonder what's going on. And that opens up to more communication.
Well, because if I love my spouse the way I say I do, then what matters to her matters to me.
Yeah.
And if it's something that's important enough for her to lift up in prayer, then I need to be joining her in that fight as well. So hopefully those things are helpful to you.
Yes.
Be kind and forgiving. Communicate with each other regularly, appropriately, and what was the other one I said? Regularly, appropriately. And honestly.
Honestly.
Be honest. Marriage should always be a place of honesty, and then pray with and for your spouse. So.
And those that we just said, those are actually in the description too, so you guys can go back and reference those just as quick little things and talk about this with your spouse. And if y'all have 12 minutes or so to watch the video, absolutely just go ahead and do that. We'll also post this on YouTube. But we love you guys. We are praying for your marriages today. We're going to get off and do that right now for every one of you who get to watch this and who don't get to watch this. We're going to be praying for
as we said at the beginning, you might try some of these things, one or all three of these things, or other things that you can find out there to help your marriage. And it may not seem like it's working at first. Marriages that are struggling didn't get there overnight, and marriages usually aren't healed overnight. So you got to stick with it. As with anything in our lives, when we're trying to make a change and we're trying to improve things, it takes consistency. So even if it doesn't seem like it's working at first, keep at it.
Keep going.
Keep at it. It will eventually work. So.
And about the honesty, oh boy, if you are trying to be honest with your spouse, I just lost my train of thought because Phoebe's out here. It's fine. Shoot, I lost it. I'll have to put it in the notes. It's fine. Okay.
All right. Well, have a great day. As Jenny said, we'll be praying for your marriages.
Yes.
We would love all the prayers we can get for our marriage as well. No matter what state your marriage is currently in, we all need prayer, and we all need encouragement and support from those around us. So,
Yep.
Hopefully
we love
you
you
can find
guys.
some of that.
Yes. Mwah. Have a good day.
Cheers.
Bye.